following the Brock Lesnar segment, we headed straight into a World Tag Team title match where Murphy and Seth Rollins, two members of the Monday Night Messiah, were taking on the likes of, I was going to call them the primetime players, taking on the likes of the Street Profits, Montez Ford, and Angelo Dawkins. This was maybe the second or the first time that second time. This was their second title defense from Seth and Mr. Murphy. Look, I'm a fan of factions. I'm a fan of factions that are done correctly. I'm a fan of factions that are dominant and are at the same time each and every single week consistent. Right? I don't want a faction to be formed where they come out one week and they're dominant, and then they come out the next week and they look horrible and they're embarrassed in front of the audience. We're not doing anyone any favors. If you want to look at what it looks like when you don't do someone any favors, just look at the original club, the OC, AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson. Or I like to call him the OJ, the original joke. These guys came together in the WWE from New Japan. I was a huge fan of theirs in New Japan when they were part of the Bullet Club, and I expected great things from them. And I'm not even blaming them. I just don't understand what is going on backstage in terms of storytelling for these guys. These are three of the best pro wrestlers you have on your roster. AJ Styles, bar none, is one of the top guys on Monday Night Raw right now. All right? Raw's got look, WWE has a ton of talented roster members. They've got a ton of talent. But at the end of the day, AJ Styles has had a proven track record. Look what he was able to do with SmackDown. He gave them a hell of a show each and every single night, every Tuesday night he came out and he delivered some of the best matches, best promos, and just best storytelling overall. And then he comes to Raw and he gets matched up with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and they form the OC. And each and every single week they come out, they talk tough, they beat up people backstage, and then they come in the ring and then they lose. They lose to like fudging Lucha House Party. They lose to the Viking Raiders, there's nothing wrong with losing to the Viking Raiders. Don't get me wrong on that front. But when you're losing to people like Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, and you're an actual tag team, something doesn't make sense. Something is not working over here. You should be dominant. You're the heels, right? There's no other group that looks as intense, as mortifying. There's no other group on the roster that you would be afraid to go up against besides the OC at that time, before the Monday Night Messiah. But they were just poorly mismanaged. And I feel the same thing is going to come to happen with the Monday Night Messiah. You've got Seth Rollins, the AOP, and Murphy. You've got 4 of the top talents right there. And you should be treating them, I don't want to use the comparison, but you got to be treating them like the Inner Circle. AEW's and Chris Jericho's group, the Inner Circle. You got to be treating them like that. Each and every single week, they come out, they talk shit, and then whether they win or lose the match, they make sure that they leave a statement. They win the war. You send the fans home thinking, Jesus, these guys are badasses. They are badasses. After what I've been seeing with the Monday Night Messiah, for one, Seth comes out, he pretends to act like Jesus. He's still bitching and moaning, and it's not working. He's gotta, look, I know he hates people like myself that critique wrestling, but unfortunately, Seth, the only reason you're making a living is because of people such as myself and the fans that watch it. And if the fans feel that what you're doing is not working for them, I guess what you're doing is not working for them, and our opinion matters more than what the fuck you say. Sorry, but that's not an attack at Seth. I'm a Seth Rollins fan. I think he's a phenomenal wrestler. I just feel over the last maybe year since he had that incredible run after that gauntlet match, he's been mismanaged. He's been mismanaged, and the mismanagement started after during the Fiend, the storyline with the Fiend, where he was just looking scared, crying, terribly done. Honestly, it was just mismanagement on all fronts. So we get to this match. It's Angelo, Dawkins, it's Seth Rollins, it's Buddy Murphy, Murphy and Montez Ford for the tag titles. I guess this was their response to the incredible tag team match that AEW had at Revolution with Hangman Page, Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. It was not the same caliber of a match. What happened in this match was as follows. All four men battled. Seth Rollins and Murphy were beating down Angelo Dawkins in the ring as Montez Ford was on the outside trying to get his bearings about him to get back into the ring. The match was, it was a quick-paced match. There was nothing too crazy about it. Both got to play around with their moves. We got an interesting scenario where Seth went for the buckle bomb on Montez Ford, but Ford happened to escape, which led to Murphy hitting Seth Rollins with an enziguri in the corner, sending him stumbling backwards. Everyone performed their big moves. Distraction by the AOP came out when Seth called them down to the ring, thinking like he had this in the bag. He were about to steal the victory over the Street Profits. They're about to defeat him. So Seth's calling down the AOP. The AOP come down to ringside. They hop onto the ring apron. Seth's about to do some dirty tactics, but lo and behold, out comes Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens, coming from the fans, hits Seth Rollins with a stunner, leaves him on the ground. The Street Profits get rid of Murphy. They throw him out of the ring. Montez Ford climbs the top of the turnbuckle and hits a frog splash for the 1, 2, and 3, crowning them the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Just like that, within 4 weeks, less than 4 weeks, we've already crowned new Tag Team Champions, and we've taken them away from the Monday Night Messiah, and already we've given the Monday Night Messiah a blemish on their record. Now, maybe there's some positives from this. Maybe Seth and Murphy can go back to being singles competitors, and we can get the rightful tag team in there against the Street Profits. And I'm talking about AOP. Maybe it's about time we finally get AOP in the tag team title picture. They haven't been in the picture, which is strange because like they're your tag team, but instead we formed two random people, Seth and Murphy, to be your champs. I don't know what the logic behind that was, but now they've lost the tag team titles. And we're continuing the feud with Kevin Owens, which I'm very, very excited for. This was a match that I've been clamoring for, and something that I've even suggested that I think would make a great match to be held at Wrestlemania, which looks like that's the direction they're going in. Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Mania. That's a big match. That's going to be a fun match. Kevin is a very exciting competitor. He's a good wrestler who puts on fun matches, and he's honestly become a crowd favorite. The fans go nuts when Kevin Owens comes out. Hell, the fans want Kevin Owens to succeed. That's the problem, is that the fans want him to succeed, but for some reason, nothing gets done with him. Now, nothing has been... I don't know what to actually say. Like, there's been moments where Kevin is in a match, and you hear the fans' reaction. He hits the stunner, and they're going nuts, and they want him to win. They want him to win. They want him to move up in the roster. They want him to challenge for that title. They want Kevin Owens to be their guy like they wanted Daniel Bryan to be their guy back in WrestleMania 30, right? And we just make him lose. Kevin Owens just loses for some reason, and the crowd doesn't appreciate that. They don't like that. Look, the audience... I understand they've got to be disappointed. But if the audience is disappointed 90% of the time, something is not being done correctly. The fans don't want to go home on the drive home or on the metro ride home, on the bus ride home, and talk amongst their friends and be like, I can't believe Kevin Owens lost. Kevin is a big favorite. He's a crowd favorite. People love him. People enjoy watching him compete. People have loved watching him compete since he came onto the roster, onto the scene, onto WWE, and he's just been poorly managed. He's been poorly managed since he lost the title, and since the friendship with Chris Jericho came to an end. Since that point, Kevin Owens has just been wandering around the roster. So I'm hoping now, leading up to Mania, with him and Rollins looking like they're on a collision course, that we could right that. We could right that wrong. We could right the ship. We could give Kevin Owens that victory. He needs the victory over Seth. Seth doesn't need to beat Kevin Owens. Seth and his group of hooligans, the Monday Night Messiah, have already done more than enough damage to the likes of more than enough damage to the likes of Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and the Viking Raiders, right? It's time for Kevin Owens to have his WrestleMania moment and to move on. With that being said, after the match, after the loss, we came back from commercial break and Seth Rollins was interviewed and asked, how do you feel about losing the tag team titles? Which is always a stupid question. How do you think he feels? He's pissed off. He lost the tag team titles. He would have rather still been champion than not champion, obviously. So what he says is that, Kevin, name your stipulation, name the time, name the place. I promise you, by the time I'm done with you, you will be crucified. Maybe we might actually have a crucifixion at WrestleMania or on a Monday Night Raw. Who knows? Hell, I got to see 10 lashes from AEW. I got to see a man whipped 10 times. Why not have ourselves a live crucifixion? ECW did it back in the day, if you forgot. And guess who's running Monday Night Raw? Paul Heyman. Also, let's not forget that time that Undertaker put Stephanie McMahon on a big... it wasn't a crucifix, but it was an Undertaker-shaped symbol that Stephanie happened to be practically crucified on, right? So the WWE has played with that idea before. So who knows? Maybe we might actually see the lead up to WrestleMania. Kevin Owens gets attacked and he gets put up on a plank or something, and then they fake the crucifixion. Hell, Stone Cold Steve Austin was crucified at one point, if I remember correctly. I remember from the Titantron they lifted him up and he was standing with his arms out for the audience to see. Now, with the whole PG and PC movement, maybe we do go down that route. Maybe we don't go down that route. I mean, but at the same time now, with all religions being accepted, maybe we do go down that route. Maybe the backlash won't be as negative as it would have been back then. Maybe the backlash now will just be like, it's part of a storyline. It's hell. They do that stuff in movies, and if you want to look at WWE and you want to consider it, at the end of the day, the WWE is whatever comes to Vince's mind, or in this case Paul Heyman and Bruce Pritchard's mind, and it's just their vision. They're God, and they're running the show, and they're telling the talent when you're going to win, when you're going to lose, what you should say, and who you're going to feud with. They're deciding their lives for them, their livelihood each and every single week. So maybe that does happen. Personally, I would like to see that. I would like to see, leading up to Mania, we get a crucifixion of Kevin Owens, where he's all bloody. Maybe it doesn't have to be bloody. He's on the cross. He's standing there in the Monday Night Messiah. Seth, Murphy, AOP are just standing there staring and laughing at Kevin. Or hell, maybe he carries the cross himself. He gets beaten down so much that he's all on his own and he carries that cross. And then we have that incredible WrestleMania match. What happens following the interview with Seth Rollins is we get an official announcement that Seth Rollins, Murphy will be taking on the Street Profits in a rematch at the Elimination Chamber. And I'm actually super excited for this match. I don't expect Seth and Murphy to be victorious, to take back those titles. I fully expect the Street Profits to remain tag team champions by the end of the Elimination Chamber. But I'm excited due to the fact that they're going to be competing on a pay-per-view and not a Monday Night Raw. And this matchup should go a lot longer than the 7 minutes and 40 seconds that it went on Monday Night Raw. These four guys have the potential to steal the show if they want at the Elimination Chamber. And I'm hoping they're given the right amount of time. I'm hoping they're given the right backing from everyone in the roster. And I'm hoping that they have the opportunity to deliver a hellacious matchup. And that's a lot of hoping. And there's a lot of hoping in the same case when it comes to